Hello, and welcome to the Academy for Modern Stoic channel. My name is Hamilton, and today we're going to talk about a topic that really interests us all: the importance of correct decision-making. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, we cannot choose external circumstances, but we can choose how we respond to them. I say it interests all of us because we are going to talk today both about the big decisions we make in life and in relation to the small everyday decisions we make on a daily basis, such as, for example, how am I going to perform a certain task, a certain job, and how I am going to deal with this or that person. These are small decisions in our daily lives, and I would say that we make many decisions over the course of just one day, and these decisions show our maturity. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. The more we know how to make better decisions, the more mature we become too. See that this is natural to notice in a child, for example, that he is immature. He does not have the capacity to make his own decisions, so he needs his parents to make decisions for him until he matures and also learns to make your own choices. The problem is that we often become adults, leave childhood, and still don't know how to make good decisions. That's a little of what we're going to talk about in our video today. To begin with, I would like you to imagine a caterpillar, which little by little in its metamorphosis becomes a butterfly. She goes through this transformation process, entering the cocoon until she can unleash her full potential as a butterfly, even starting to fly, which was something she was unable to do before while she was a caterpillar. This exercise of imagination helps us realize how the decision has a huge impact on our lives. As Marcus Aurelius said, our lives are defined by our thoughts. The quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our life. When a person makes good decisions throughout their life, they also release more of their potential. Just like the butterfly, it becomes more and more powerful. It releases more and more life through it. But if we make wrong decisions, one after another, we do exactly the opposite. That is, we imprison these potentials that exist within each human being. We can make life increasingly scarce, increasingly hampered in its potentials. Therefore, our every decision can be a way of freeing these wings more and more, just like the butterfly does, or else imprison more and more of our internal potentials. The decision is generally made in a moment, and therefore it requires a lot of attention and a lot of care. Our decision-making requires a lot of awareness in the process, and perhaps what you may be wondering is which decision I am talking about, because the decisions are so broad. So which ones have this critical point that could be freeing life, or that could be imprisoning life more? What kind of decision is this? Because there are decisions I make at work, there are decisions I make with my family, there are decisions I make on the road. We are talking about all human decisions in any aspect of life, from small to large decisions. In all of them we can observe this process. Because what we're going to talk about in today's video is about the root of human decisions. This root of decisions, this process that can lead me to express more life or imprison life more and more. It's the way we make the decision, and it could be a decision at my job, a decision at my family, or a decision anywhere I am. The way I'm making the decision is going to be very important, so that's what we're going to cover a little more in today's video. For us to start talking about the decision, about its roots, what drives a decision, we have to first talk a little about the human being, because the decision will be a reflection of the human being, a reflection of what is happening, moving within us. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, all we see is a perspective, not the truth. So, imagine that within all of us there are several selves, these various small selves that are expressing themselves within us. These voices, each of them, speak differently in our subconscious. We have the voices, for example, of fear. I have, for example, the fear of change that will always speak in a certain way. We also have our fear of failure that is always expressing itself. I have a voice about my complacency, that I would like to stay still and that life wouldn't change too much. I have a voice in my expectations about something that happens. I have several voices of my desires too. I have the voice of my laziness, of my inertia. It has the voice of my vanity, which I would always like to project and for people to have a view of me. So, see that we all have several voices that we can call little selves that are always speaking inside us, like the voice that rejects a person. There is a voice that would like to achieve something, or that has a certain desire. There are our voices of attachments. There are our voices that would like to repeat things from the past, and that always keep returning their minds to the past. Anyway, there are really thousands of voices, and every time we make a decision they speak. Some speak more than others, and some have more impactful power for us in decisions. But beyond all these selves, beyond these countless voices that we are commenting on, there is also a central voice that represents the true identity of the human being, what we really are, our real self. And so that we can also have a reference image of this real self, we can say that it is the voice that is always speaking towards what we call goodness. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one thing. Some things are in our control and some things are not. Kindness is a reference to the human essence. It is a reference to this real self. Every human being has kindness within them, but sometimes this voice is drowned out by the various selves that are always talking around them and very loudly. But you can see how natural it is for us to associate kindness with human nature, so much so that when we see a situation in which a person has committed an act of evil, one of the first things we think is, this is not human. This person is not human, because we naturally associate kindness with what is the essence of the human being. So, we also have this voice within us, the voice of our real self, the one that wants to unite. As Marcus Aurelius said, it is not experience that makes us wise, but reflection on experience. Because Plato already said that good is everything that unites, and evil is everything that separates. This is a very synthetic concept, but it gives us a lot of application capacity to know which voices are speaking loudest inside me at this moment. Are they uniting or separating? What are the elements that seem to speak loudest to me, including in the decision process? Because that's the big point for us to observe. When I'm going to decide, there's a rain of words, of voices all wanting to speak at the same time. Desire wants to speak. Fears want to speak. Expectations want to speak. My laziness wants to speak. What requires less effort wants to speak. What I like more or less. In short, it seems that all the voices want to speak to each other at the same time, and normally the one who speaks loudest prevails, and we will make the decision at that moment based on that voice. The decision process is very important because we think it is very external. It is about the things that are happening, and deep down every decision is revealing who we are at that moment. That's why decisions are an excellent way for human beings to get to know themselves. As Seneca said, no one can be truly free until all are free. Sometimes we think that self-knowledge is such a subjective thing, but actually knowing ourselves is something very objective, and decision-making is an excellent way to do that. It is imperative that we start asking ourselves, why should I make this decision? What element speaks loudest within me and is leading me to make this decision? By doing this, we will see exactly who we are. As Seneca said, life is too short and time is merciless. I may not like this image, but the first thing I have to do to change is accept who I am at that moment. So, what makes the decision within me is who I am. It's where I am identifying myself. So, sometimes, for example, if I make a decision based on fear, at that moment I am my fear. If at a certain moment I make a decision based on what I like or what I don't like, I am being that. I'm being my taste. I'm being childish, because children do that. They want what they like and they don't want what they don't like. But sometimes we go beyond childhood and continue using the same criteria of childishness when making many decisions. As Epictetus said, nothing brings so much human suffering as comparison with others. Aristotle teaches that when we want to develop a virtue, we need to practice it. In other words, if I want to be kind, what I have to do is decide more in terms of kindness, so it will grow more and more. If I want to be more fair, what I have to do is decide more based on justice. This simple thought exercise, if performed frequently in our mind, will allow us to make better decisions. Therefore, synthesizing and simplifying everything we talked about, we came to the conclusion that these various selves that exist within the human being, we could conclude that our decisions define us. And therefore, when we make our next decisions, we have to keep this in mind so that they reflect, preferably, the best we have within us. Did you like this content? Subscribe to the Academy for Modern Stoic channel for more videos and tips on how to apply Stoicism in your daily life.